Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So today let's look at what happened with Bitcoin. We actually had a recovery a little bit. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about some macro stuff too. And let's look at a video and what I said in that video over a year ago, and it still applies today. All right. Let's do it. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Like I said, hey, Bitcoin is up a little bit, 58.2. We basically, we're back to where we were like a day ago. But yesterday was a little scary, a little dump down to 55. Now we're back to 58. So hopefully you guys took advantage of that. But you know what? There may still be more volatility. Who knows? I mean, on the macro front, like US right now, right? Like today was kind of a mixed day. Tomorrow's looking a little better. But you know what? We got some bad news and some good news all around. So Nvidia says, hey, they didn't receive an antitrust subpoena. So this is just fake news, false news. Seems like we get a lot of these days, right? Because yesterday I speculated, oh, why did Wall Street dump Nvidia? Did someone know that they were getting an antitrust thing? And then even Nvidia didn't know. Nvidia actually asked the Department of Justice and asked them, hey, did we miss something? And they said no. That's how confused Nvidia was. Okay, so there's no antitrust thing against Nvidia. We also did get a JOLTS job opening reading, and it came in way less than expected. Way less. The number of jobs is going down in a big way. The last few times we saw a sharp decline like this was during the dot-com bubble. I've lived through that. The financial crisis, I've lived through that. And the pandemic, I lived through that. So normally this happens when we go into a big recession, right? So are we about to enter recession? Maybe. The only good news about this bad report is it drove the 50 basis point percentage up even more. So now we're at 45.55. We're pretty close to 50.50. This is putting a lot of pressure on Powell to be more aggressive with the upcoming rate hike. Rate hike. I'm so used to saying rate hike. Rate cut. I've been saying rate hike for 4 years now. Okay. This is giving ammunition for Powell to cut rates. Okay, this is what we want to see. So slowly but surely we're seeing, and we're getting more economic data. Tomorrow we'll go get some payroll, jobless claim stuff, and then we're going to get a big jobs report on Friday and unemployment on Friday. If those come in worse than expected, then of course we will get a rate cut. And a massive one at that, 50 basis point. Hey, maybe we get a 75 basis point. That would be absolutely crazy. Maybe there's a chance. And this whole, carry trade issue that we're having with Japan still may be lingering. So Powell has to keep that in the back of his head, right? Because, hey, maybe there will be more sell-offs coming up. So he may have to kind of anticipate how much damage that, this is going to do. And that's right, he might be more aggressive with his rate cuts, maybe. So today, from a macro perspective, actually it's bad, but it's also good in a way, right? Which is surprising and not so surprising at the same time. Now, yesterday we know that ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, had the biggest outflow in 4 months. It was absolutely massive, 287 million outflow. Today, so far, only 37 million. We actually had an inflow today from one of the funds. We don't have the reading from BlackRock. I have a feeling we're going to see BlackRock having a massive inflow once again. Okay? Because Larry Fink, that's how he rolls, right? He knows. He knows what's coming for Bitcoin. So I have no doubt we're going to see a big inflow tomorrow, right? And, you're just seeing it. Morgan Stanley is holding Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock specifically. Everyone's holding ETFs. Everyone's holding Bitcoin at this point, okay? A lot of people have not reported yet, but they will. Even River is saying that, well, you look at overall the 21 million. Well, we don't have 21 million. That's like 19.7 million. I mean, just look at the distribution, right? You got long-term holders, you got Satoshi, you got now businesses, now you got ETFs and governments and businesses all competing to accumulate. There's just not enough to go around. It's really that simple. It's a supply and demand thing, right? And price will go up as demand keeps on going up and supply keeps diminishing. It's really, really that simple. It's that simple. You don't have to complicate things, right? Even Mara is buying Bitcoin left and right. They just borrow $300 million to buy more Bitcoin. Rather than mining themselves, they're like, we don't have enough. They raised $300 million worth of debt and bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin recently, right? So this is what I've been saying for years. Don't be afraid. Load up when you can, or if you can't, just hodl. Let the gains come to you, right? When others are panicking, that's when you load up. Like right now, you got the fear and greed index in extreme fear, right? And this relates to the video I'm going to show you guys. We haven't really seen fear levels this low for a very long time. Recently, we've been hovering around the 25 level for a while, but you could see we haven't seen it going all the way back to 2023. So right now, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that the fear level is this high when Bitcoin is still hovering around 58,000. It really makes no sense. And I'm going to prove it to you guys why it makes no sense, right? But usually when you have elevated levels of fear for a long time, that's usually when Bitcoin reverses and comes back up. And a lot of charts show that. Here's one that is showing. Stochastic is oversold, and whenever we see that, there's a reversal, right? Like sometimes small, but today, like we had a bounce, for example, right? Also, we're having the very first golden cross with the 100 and 200 weekly. We've never, ever, ever had that before, which is very, very bullish indeed. We have global liquidity that's starting to rise up because countries around the world are cutting rates and starting to print money, right? And whenever this happens, you can see how Bitcoin's chart relates. It goes up. Those charts show Bitcoin going up and up and up when global liquidity starts going up. And guess what's happening? Global liquidity is starting to rise. Countries around the world are starting to print more money and lower interest rate because they want the liquidity to start flowing. And that's great for assets. Great, great, great for assets, right? Here's a fractal pattern comparing to our current movement to the 2022 COVID crash. And then, this broadening microphone or whatever, broadening wedge. And what happens afterwards? Boom. We start going up, right? We're waiting for that next leg up. It's going to come soon. You just have to be patient. And when I say soon, it could be as soon as this month after the huge rate cut, or it could come in October, which is the most bullish month for all of crypto. October is a fantastic month. Last year, we went up 28%. Years before, we have seen 30, 40, 50% gains in October. Right? So you just have to be patient, continue to hodl, and DCA when you can. All right. This morning, I thought it would be a good idea to bring up one of my old videos. Because the last few days, I saw a lot of people get really bearish, saying that, Bitcoin's going to go down more, saying that they lost a whole bunch of money, saying that Bitcoin is never going to come back up, and we're, you know, we've topped out at 73K and we're not going to go any higher. You know, like all the bearish people that haven't lived through a previous cycle or been in it long enough to remember how it was before, right? So I randomly pulled up a video. This was right after New Year's, starting the year in 2023. Okay, and a lot of you guys were with me then. A lot of you guys were not. Look at the price. This was when Bitcoin fell down below 20,000 and we were hovering at 16,005. Okay, and I just want to play a short clip for you guys, basically what I said then. And it's not going to sound a lot different than how I sound now, because I'm just using facts and fundamentals to keep you guys engaged and focused on the future. That's it. I'm not trying to chart it. I'm not trying to do anything fancy, right? But, you know, this is why I do what I do. Because long term, all you have to do is HODL and DCA. That's it. There's no other magical formula you need to follow. Okay, so take a listen. Charts a lot of models that indicate that 2023 is going to be better. And here's another one. Okay, so this is based on the 4-year cycle. And it's really simple. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand this. Okay, look at going back to the beginning and the 2 cycles that we had before and the current cycle that we're in right now. You can clearly see that because of the 4-year halving event, it definitely has an effect on Bitcoin. And whenever we have a big sudden pump, right, guess what follows? We have a negative year. Okay, we have a tremendous fall from the top.
Yes.
And then we have a recovery year.
Yes.
Then we have a year where we break through the previous high. And then we start over and we go up to the moon once again, right? And it happened in, you could see, 2013. 2014 had a horrible year. 2015 was a year of recovery. It started coming up from the bottom. And 2016, it broke through its previous high, right? And then 2017, we went on a crazy run, right? And you look at what happened in 2018, we had a pretty bad fall, right? 2019 was a recovery year. 2020 was a fantastic year, right? Breaking through its previous high. And 2021, we know, was also quite fantastic, right? So we just got done with 2022. We had a horrible year in 2022. But looking at Bitcoin's history, this always happens. When we form a new top, we come back down, right? But if history is going to repeat, or if history's,
This is important now.
rhyming, okay, it doesn't always repeat, but rhyming, let's just put it that way, right? Then what is going to happen in 2023? Well, 2023 is going to be a recovery year. Doesn't mean that we're going to recover back up to previous high, but it is going to be a recovery year. And then in 2024 is when we do break through our previous high. And then 2025 is when we will go on that exponential run once again, right? So this is very easy to understand, very easy to follow. But
Was I right? 2023 would be a recovery year. 2024, we would break our previous high. And 2025 is when we go on an exponential run. I said that at the beginning of 2023 because you just have to study the previous cycles to know that this is what happens. I didn't have a magic 8-ball, but based on previous cycles, this is what happens, right? So, I mean, like, you know, I was saying the same thing. Saying the same thing like I have been now, right? Talking about the 4-year cycle. Saying how we have hit bottom and we will go higher, right? Talking about how the supply last active, 10 plus years, all-time high. I've talked about the fundamentals, right?
And I talk about how, hey, if we just simply get a little bit of the piece of everything else, Bitcoin is going to go a lot higher. I even talk about Ethereum a little bit. And then ultimately I talk about the halving event, which happened this year. And I said how significant that is once we get our block reward get cut in half and half and half, right? So, this is why, like, it's hard for me sometimes because people say, well, George, you just repeat the same thing over and over and over again. Because I've lived through it. We go through these cycles. We go through these up and downs. But ultimately, the strategy is always the same. You don't need to change anything. You just need to focus on the fundamentals, which are growing by leaps and bounds. Back then, we didn't have ETFs. We didn't have institutional interest yet. We do now, so things are different, right? But ultimately, it's the same thing. It just keeps on repeating, but we form higher highs and higher lows, and it just keeps on going, right? And then, look at the naysayers in here. Look at some of these comments. A lot of you guys, are great. Some of you guys were around back then, right? Look at this guy right here. Anyone dumb enough to think a candle pattern that looks somewhat similar is bullish, you deserve to lose your money. No TA, this is all newbie crypto gossip. We're going to 13K and even 10K, possibly 8K. Do we hit 13K? No. Do we hit 10K? No. Do we hit 8K? No. Never catch a falling knife, right? I mean... It's not a lie if you believe it. Oh, pump that bag. This is what I'm saying, right? Like, when it's bad, all these non-believers come out. They all talk like they know. They all talk like they're the smartest people on earth. If you listen to any of the naysayers and sold at 16,000 or didn't buy at 16,000, where would you be now? You would be crying, all right? Or you would have been buying back in at a much higher price, right? I mean, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So anyways, just want to show you guys that. I'll try to find more videos, when we were even lower, right? But you know what? Even at 16K, when we fell down to 16K and we hovered there for weeks upon weeks, and it wasn't pleasant. I was still streaming twice a day, keeping you guys focused and motivated, keeping you in the game, and that's what I'm doing now. Even though we're at 58, just wait until next year when we're at 150, 200, 250,000. And I'm going to say the same thing to you guys, that you should have held, you should have kept strong and not focus on the FUD, because now you've lost out, right? Or you would have lost out. Anyways, that's it. That is it. I guess other than that, I think it's DCA day. Today is Wednesday. Let me bring it up here. Let's see. All time is still up 30%. I think we went lower, a little bit lower for the week. Let's see. We refresh the week. Okay, not refreshing. Not refreshing. Anyways, still up 30%. Despite the dumping, despite the FUD, DCA long term still works, right? So, okay. What to add this week? I think last week I just added Bitcoin and Sol. I might have to add something different this time. Cardano just had their Chang hard fork. Oh, but before I miss out on the super chats and stuff, Butts and Nader Amazing content. What's the next Lego build? I don't know, but thank you for that. And 5 gifted memberships. Alabaster, 5 gifted memberships. Thank you guys for that. And retro. I'm not a vengeful person, but I will be laughing at the fudders when they miss on the action. I mean, we all will. We'll have a laugh together. All right. Now on to business. What to DCA today? This is tough. This is tough. A lot of these are in the red now. I don't really want to add any more to Cardano. Polygon with the pole upgrade that's coming, maybe this is a good play. And Cardano just had their fork. Gaming and memes are still really, really, really weak. Let me add some. Wait, I have a lot of stacks already. I was gonna say stacks is always good. But I got a lot of stacks already. You know what? I'm going to add a little Jupiter. I think I'm going to add Jupiter and Polygon today. Polygon is still down about 60%. I don't know. I hope Polygon come back. I really do. So let's add Polygon today. $50.3 there. All right, so that helps a little bit. And I'm going to add Jupiter. I'm barely down Jupiter, but you know what? I believe in Solana, so I think you can't go wrong with it. All right, so I added Jupiter and Polygon this week. Yeah, that's it. All right, let's do some Q&A. Meridian Heights, double the George, double the bullishness. That's funny. Get rich quick mentality doesn't work. That's right. You gotta go long term. Let's see. Jay Georgie says, I once panic sold at 7K. It's all relative in the moment. I don't know what that means. All relative in the moment. But selling at 7K. Yeah. I've done that before. I tried to outsmart the market, to be honest. I have like tried to sell it and then rebuy back lower. But every time I try to do that, in panic situations, I end up losing because it hits some bottom and then it jumps right back up and I end up buying it for a more costly price. So I've stopped trying to do that now. Car repossessions across the U.S. are up 23%. I believe that. What's your favorite color? I really don't. I really don't know. Really don't know. Litecoin will come back higher. Safer bet. Safer bet than what? Chris W says, I remember this video. I kept buying that night while you were streaming. Yeah, it was not a fun night. It was not a fun night, you know, but look, even in Q&A, right? All I talked about was, hey, this is the beginning of 2023, by the way. So we didn't even start the third leg yet. And I said, hey, it's going to get better. Third year is going to be the recovery year, right? And then fourth year, we're going to get all-time high. I even talked about ETH. I was trying to look. I don't even see the ETH price at this point, but it was pretty darn low. It was pretty darn low. And I kept talking about the rewards. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We see it. ETH was at $1,200. BNB 244. XRP at 35 cents. So basically, XRP didn't move. XRP is like exactly the same. Cardano is at 25 cents. Where's Cardano right now? Cardano is basically the same point. So that's kind of sucks. Cardano is at 25 cents. So Bitcoin really moved. Ethereum really moved. Sol is not even in top 10, so it really moved. BNB doubled from there, so BNB really moved. Cardano and XRP did not really move. Retro Bill, every time I try to pull out and buy lower, I get burned. I'm with you. Every time I've seen those panic moments where, you know, Bitcoin's dumping like 20 or 30%, like instantly. And, you know, I've done it. I tried to outsmart the market and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell and buy back lower. Every time I try to do that, I lose out. Like Bitcoin just pumps up. So that's why I say, when you're at your point where you can't take it anymore and you really want to sell it, just wait one more day. Usually that's when it goes up. JR. Yeah, depends on what you're looking for. Oh, look, I was talking about economic data, just like now. Should I sell ADA and buy more Sol? I can't tell you what to do. I really can't. Do I think Sol has more potential this cycle? Yes. But that doesn't mean that ADA can't go up either. ADA may have its own run like previous times. Alex just asked about ADA, same thing. You grow, I grow. Would you be would you buy a 430 Scuderia that's salvage if it was half off? Yeah, no. Don't ever buy a salvage car. Even exotic car. I mean, if you plan on buying it, then you better keep it forever because you will never be able to sell that again. No one wants a salvage car, especially exotic car. As soon as someone calls you, if you ever want to sell it and you say salvage, they hang up the phone. So don't do it unless you really plan on keeping them forever. But even then, you don't know if there's frame damage, if there's rust, there's mold, you know, stuff like that that you can't see easily. It's just not worth it. Talvin Fu. George, what are your thoughts about Near and Sol? I'm a big fan of Sol. Near, I'm more positive about Near because of their switch or their entrance into AI, how they want to embrace it. So, yeah. And they've been doing well too. Slowly climbing up the chart. Your prediction for next Super Bowl? I'm not a football guy, so I cannot. I don't know. You know, I tend to be more bullish than bearish. In fact, I don't think I'm ever bearish. But I do think that after this rate cut, I think leading up to it, we're going to get more and more bad data. That's going to push the 50 basis point higher and higher and higher. And even after we get a 50 basis point cut, okay, we may not move, but I don't think we're going to go down. And I think everyone's going to wait for October. And October, November, December are going to be absolutely fantastic. I think it's going to blow people away. But, you know, I may be wrong. And even right after a rate cut, we start going up. But I am very, very hopeful for the last 3 months of this year. And I think it's going to carry us very far into 2025. That's how I see it. In January, I could play what I said now and see if I'm right. In January, if we're still at like 58,000, then I'm clearly wrong, but I just don't believe that. I believe we're going to be in six figures by the end of this year. My wife wants a Rivian truck. I don't think it's a smart move. I mean, Rivians are fine. I used to think they were going to go bankrupt right away, but it seems like they have stabilized. I see a lot of people driving Rivian trucks, so it should be fine. Inside looks good, decently big. Just got to worry about the range. Rich says, I think I'm going to convert my ADA into Injective. Injective is not bad. I think Injective could be really good too. I like Water says, I don't watch a lot of TV. I catch George, Atlanta Hawks, Georgia Bulldogs, and certain box matches. You got to say the IFC, man. We're going to have IFC fight in 2 weeks in Singapore. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And then we're going to have one 3 weeks afterwards in October during permissionless. So each one is going to get bigger and better. This is unconfirmed for December. We may get the biggest like fight ever in December. I don't even know if I could say it because it's not solidified and it's still rumorville right now, so I'm not. But it's going to be crazy if it happens. I've had good luck with salvage cars. I look closely at them, plus check history, got lower price. Of course, you're going to get lower prices. But do you really want to deal with that? If I see something as salvage, I just skip. And I'm figuring everyone else that does will skip too. So if you buy a salvage car, basically don't ever plan on selling it because you're not going to. It's really what it comes down to. If you want to buy a cheap Ferrari, you want to keep it for a decade because you just want to enjoy it and you know, and have fun with it. You don't have any, you know, any thought about selling it ever. Then, and I guess if you want to, sure. Goku Trump. I appreciate that. I do. Will there be an altcoin season? Yes. Yes. I think we'll see at end of this year. We'll get a mini one once again. And then next year is when we go ballistic. All right, guys. I'm going to end it. Stay strong. Stay focused. And continue to hodl on DCA. That's it. It's a winning strategy. Like I said, back when we were at 16K, right? And I'll try to find more clips that's interesting for you guys to watch. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.